Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Pursuit of Myself. I am your host, Rain Bryant, and Riverside ate my episode for tomorrow. So I am doing an impromptu episode, but I think it's one that you're going to be really not happy with. That's not the right word. I'm thinking you're going to really connect with this one because I've got a couple of questions from my Instagram about divorce, marriage, expiry dates, and friends. When you're frustrated by your friends that are so unhappily in their marriage, I'm going to answer those questions for you in this episode. So before I do that, I am back from an incredible holiday. We managed to go with some incredible friends and explore Croatia and Greece. And there was a lot to do, a lot to see. I am just so grateful for this life. I got to work while I was away, meet new people, have new experiences. And I'm just really spinning on the top at the moment, spinning with gratitude and love and just, I think all the messages that I write in Instagram and the marketing and all this stuff that I do, the one thing is if I didn't take a chance on my healing, if I didn't make myself the most important person when it came to being strong and authentic, I don't know where I would be. So I'm really grateful to that version of me that decided that, I wanted more for myself, that it was time for me to do my work. I'm really grateful for that version of me because I'm telling you what, it's uncomfortable and messy, but the experience that she gets to have now is like probably beyond a lot of things that I've dreamed of, to be honest. So if that is encouraging enough or permission enough for you to go, right, happiness has to be my number one priority. And I fully believe that because we all attract from our subconscious. If you're unhappy, you'll be attracting more things to be unhappy about. If you are feeling guilt and shame, you'll be projecting that and attracting more to feel guilt and shame about. Happiness has to be your priority. Number one, and to know who you are is the version of happiness that you need to be every single day. That's the emotional freedom I craved, and that's the one I get to live now. So excited, but let's just get into this episode. Welcome to the Pursuit of Myself, the podcast. Here we take ownership of our healing. We rewrite the rules, we turn knowledge into wisdom, and we lead our lives with intention. I'm your host, Rain, and it's my mission to empower you to get back into the driver's seat of your life. Hello and welcome back to another episode. So I'm actually now quietly excited for this episode because I think some of the times, especially with a lot of the content and everything we're consuming, it can be so curated and so AI'd and so, not thought out, but so hooky and so grabby. But this one, let's just go. I'm going to read out a couple of questions and relating to divorce and marriage and the things that I've been getting on Instagram, and we're going to riff. So for this one, I would really love you to connect with me on Instagram. I know I say it every episode, but if there is a question that you have, like reply in the notes, come see me on Instagram, share this episode. But I want this to be really interactive and as connected as possible, which I know is not the aim of podcast, but that is me authentically. So I'm going to continue that on. Let's get going with the first question. Advice if you feel like your marriage has come to its expiry date. And first of all, when we're giving advice, this is all general advice, and this is all going to be looking through my personal lens because, as we know, we all have lenses that we look through, and my life experiences, traumas and triumphs and all the things that I've done are going to create the way that I show up in this world. So the way that I speak is my personal experience. But the way that I also coach, the way that I work with my clients is not by having them look through my lens, but have them get to a safe, grounded place where they can look through their own lens, where they can self-assess their part, their responsibility, and actually go, who am I being in this marriage? So let's start there. How do I know? What is it? Advice if you feel like marriage has come to its expiry date. So a lot of the things that I see people doing is they say, I'm going to give it 3 months. I'm going to give it a year. And why I feel like this is not an approach is because I feel like it's the mind making up a way to end things. And quite often in that time, we could be like, I'm not going to book a counselor. He has to. I'm not going to move back into the bedroom. He has to invite me. I'm not going to ask him. I want a man who knows what I want, and if it doesn't happen by this time, then I'm ending things. And what I want to challenge you is this. First of all, getting radically honest with yourself. Are you willing to show up in your marriage as the version of you that you want to be? I'm going to say that again. Are you willing to show up in your marriage as the version of you that you want to be? That's the first question. Because so often we've been a version of ourselves where we are someone for someone else. We are this wife that we have to do X, Y, and Z. They want us this way. We have roles to play. This is what was modeled at me from my parents. This is what my parents expected me. They're European. This is the culture, blah, 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 right? There's all these stories that layer on all our masks and reasons and excuses for the way that we're showing up. So my question is, are you willing to show up as the version of you who you want to be? It's a really simple question. But why people don't like answering that is because it puts the onus back on them. It gives them an anchor point to go, oh, who am I being in this relationship? Who am I actually behaving like? Am I being me? Am I connected to me? Am I showing up as me? Or am I showing up as the version that I think I need to be and then claiming that I'm happy and not getting what I want? And this is not about blame. This is not about victimhood. This is about you, women or men, centering yourself in your self-responsibility of who you are being and what do you want. And the reason I say this so deeply is because this really is the key to everything. This isn't the key to staying together or to breaking up, but this is your version of you. Who are you being? Now, let's fast forward a little bit because I work with a lot of women that come to me and be like, I've done all my work and I'm growing and I've looked inwards and I'm meditating, I'm doing all the things and I'm growing, but he is not. He's staying the same. He's not growing with me. There's only so much more that I can grow, and it's stopping my growth because I don't want to grow too far, and then the relationship's going to end. But the challenge is this: we can all hide away and grow and read the books, right? But the challenge is in who you are being. Who are you being in that? Because are you just being that version of you behind closed doors? Or are you being that version of you in your marriage, the one that's growing, the one that's happy, the one that's vibrant, the one that's like, what version are you bringing to your relationship? Really, really big question. Again, the humanness of us wants to blame and be the victim. It doesn't want to take self-responsibility. And when we are showing up, or when we do the work behind closed doors, and this is my experience as well in my marriage, when I was doing my work behind closed doors and I was showing up to my marriage going, oh my God, he doesn't understand me. I'm not being held. He's not meeting me where I am. He doesn't understand I'm growing. He's not. God, I have to go if I want to continue growing. I can look back and say, I was not showing up in my relationship as the version of me that was asking for what I needed. I was showing up on my own, my version, and then I'd get into the relationship and I'd completely be triggered back into this little girl, like desperate for attention and desperate to be seen, but without a voice, with all the excuses, in my victimhood, in my blame. So this is the challenge. How do you know when things have an expiry date? Well, it's not like we put a date on anything. We don't have expiry dates. We don't have a certain amount. What I will say is this: if you can get really radically honest with yourself about who you are and what you want, are you able to say, want more intimacy? I want more connection. I want to feel more feminine in my marriage. I want an actual partnership. I want to go back to work and feel confident that I can go back to work and be helped. Like, do you know, have you got clarity on what it is you're actually wanting? Have you done that work? Do you know who you are and what you want? Because how can you expect someone else to know who you are and what you want if you have not cemented that? So let's say you have. Let's say you've cemented this. This is what I want. The marriage has been together for a really long time and you have all these stories about how they are or are not showing up. And what happens is we do this work to be this version. We put our toe in the water. We put a little bit out there. We're like, hey, this is the me. This is what I want. And you get shut down. Do you immediately retract back to that person that you were? Or can you hold space for who you are being now? Can you put your 2 feet on the ground and go, no, this is actually what I want? And I'd really like for you to meet me there. I'd really like more intimacy. How about we X, Y, and Z? And that's the next radical part of the honesty of the relationship. If you're willing to do the work to see, can you really step into that over and over again? Can you dip your toe in, let's say run into the fire, do the uncomfortable conversation, get burnt, maybe do it again? And can you continuously run into the fire? Now, for those of you who are saying I've run into the fire over and over again, that's hats off and stories, your story and your truth. And if that's where you're at and you continuously run into the fire, then you get to ask yourself, if I am running into the fire and I'm still not being met, yes, it takes 2 people in a relationship to make a relationship work. It's not one. Right? It takes 2. So that's the answer. Well, that's the conclusion that you get to come to. When it comes to, as I say, going back to the expiry date, I feel like the first questions are you willing? Do you know who you are and what you want? Are you willing to express that and run into the fire with it over and over again? Because when we know who we are and what we want, our intuition is so strong. I can tell you that decisions get made for you, but also I can tell you that when you keep showing up as the version of you who you want to be, you attract that energy back. And I have seen so many marriages turn around because the woman or the man actually continues to show up in the energy that they want to be, which invites the other person to meet them there. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to invite each other to meet us there if that's what we want. I don't know if that answers totally that question, but that's how I really feel about that question. Let me get to the next one. And this is a really important one, actually, because I get this is so often as well. And this is one I've experienced, and I know that you guys will be experiencing this too. It's so frustrating that all my friends are unhappily married. They complain a lot. As a fairly happily divorced woman, how can you support friends to take a leap of faith? So, a couple of things I want to address there. The unhappy woman in a marriage or man in a marriage. If you are ready to start smashing through those limiting beliefs, to learn how to regulate your nervous system, to learn how to show up and lead yourself, if you are wanting to open your eyes to what is truly keeping you stuck and spinning your wheels, the Myself Method is my 10-week group coaching program, and we start in October. It'll be the last one for the year, and it will get you to where you want to go. We will look at your nervous system. We will look at your ego, and we will create a roadmap to get you to where you desire. For more information, comment below or click this link. And if you would like to join now, we have a bonus early bird options happening, which is free coaching with me. This is huge. My one-on-one books are nearly sold out. My group coaching programs have always been sold out. And this is your opportunity to actually get in before the end of the year and start creating the rest of 2025 in the way that you wish you had have done, or maybe wish you had have started. So join me now. Click the link below or message me on Instagram. We all know them. I've been one myself, but my salvation and my happiness didn't actually come from ending the marriage. My happiness came from doing the work to know who I was so that I could confidently step out of my marriage or into my life, as you would say, as the version of me, the authentic version of me. Now, we do have those friends, and I want to pare this back for a little bit, because this is what happens with the anger. I want you to know this. If you're listening to this and you're unhappily married, right? If you're not having sex, if you're not talking, if you fight all the time, if you're arguing, right? That energy that you bring from that marriage, I can guarantee you, is leaking into your life. That energy of unhappiness, you will be see the woman that gets pissed at the party and starts ranting on everyone. You will see generally the one that's unhappy, she's the one that bitches about everyone else's marriage. The unhappiness, the energy leaks into your parenting, right? It maybe leaks into you wanting to be at work for a lot longer than a work day. So the energy that you think you are staying together for the kids, the energy that you think you are hiding from everyone is leaking, and your friends know, and they're frustrated and they over it. But maybe you feel like you have disconnected, or your friends have disconnected from you because they don't want to hear it anymore. Maybe your friends are being too nice and they don't want to tell you that they're sick of hearing your shit. And that's a fact. This is unhappy people, whether it's in a marriage, a job, whatever. When you're unhappy, you project that energy onto other people. So how do we get friends or people to realize it. You are open and honest and you have the conversation. For me, I know a lot of my unhappily married friends drop off at certain times because, I ask if I can have permission to give them feedback. I don't engage in gossiping. It doesn't feel good to me. And it's also hard for me to be around people that are desperately unhappy and not doing anything about it. It just, my energy, my body is just like, okay, let's do something about it. And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay, well, your choice is to stay unhappy. That's your choice. And have fun with that. Let's connect later. So the frustrating part comes when we don't find our voice to speak to our friends. So can you ask permission for feedback? Can you say, hey, I hear you speaking a lot about this. Would you like some feedback? Hey, I get this. Do we want to look at ways to move forward? Are you looking for support? I see that you're unhappy and it's breaking my heart. Are you ready to start doing something about it? I think the biggest thing in connection in friendships comes when we can be really honest with people. I mean, what is connection if you can't be honest? If you're sitting there resenting the conversation, frustrated, and you can't say, hey, do you realize all the conversations that we've just had? Can you see that you're really unhappy? That's where the healing actually starts, is an honest friend, because maybe that person would quite enjoy, or not enjoy is not the right word, will not mind having a reflection back to them to show them actually how they're living their life. Now, I think the other thing that I want to say, because this question was to how to support them to take a leap of faith. There's no leap. There's no, I'm supporting them to, look, I've left my marriage and I'm happy, so you can do it too. There's none of that. That just doesn't work. Every situation, every marriage, everything is different. Every value system, every desire. Some people are really happy in marriages where they have lots of money and don't mind that their husbands are cheating. Some people are really happy when two parents are working and, you name it. There are dozens of different marriage types, and you get to decide what's right for you, and the other person gets to decide what's right for them. So we take out the judgment, and what we do is we get them to have a bit of an invitation to self-inquiry. Do you realize this? Because I can tell you, one person's leap of faith of leaving the marriage may not be another. And then that person said, you told me to leave, and then I'm not happy. And then you get caught up in this really woundy, who said what and why, and you said this and that person's happy, and all the things that go on. So you empower. My answer to that question is, you're frustrated and you're resenting the fact you have to listen to your unhappy friends all the time. You can see that you've had a light at the end of your tunnel because of something that you had to do. So be the light of happiness and joy, and without preaching the decision, and encourage them to do their inner work. Because happiness isn't found in leaving the marriage. Happiness isn't found in even staying. Happiness is found when we do the work to figure out who we are, what we want, and happiness is found when we stop abandoning that. When we are so strong in our own values and we know who we are and we don't abandon that, that is where happiness is found. And I want to sing that really from the rooftops. I won't go through any more questions now, but I want to sing that from the rooftops. This work is always about the inner work. If we are moving through life going, if I leave, I'll be happy. If I stay, I'll be happy. If I do the action, I'll be happy. Wherever you go, there you are. If you are leaving your marriage and you have no idea about who you are, and you go and take that to another relationship, I can guarantee you'll be attracting the same thing over and over again until you learn your lesson. You can do this work at any stage of your life. You can at any moment. The key to happiness, the key to knowing whether you stay or knowing whether you leave, the key to knowing when you're ready to take a leap or to go to counseling, whatever that is in you making peace with who you are, what you want, and going, that's the only way I'm going to show up from now on. That is the key. I'm going to sing that one from the rooftops. You hold the keys to the cage that you've built for yourself. You hold the keys to your happiness. The work is with you. Always the inner work is with you. If you believe that something outside is going to change the way that you feel about yourself, then you'll just keep manifesting the same shit over and over again. We must become strong in our foundations so that we can move from a place of peace, from a place of knowing instead of a place of fear, instead of a place of scarcity, instead of a place of lack. Create and cultivate a deep love for yourself, no matter what your marital situation is. And that is the place that you communicate from. That is a place that you move from. And that is a place where you know the direction of what you need to do. That's it for today. Have a very gorgeous rest of your day. Again, please connect with me over on Instagram or down here, wherever you're listening to this, because we can do a lot more work together. I love to answer your questions, and maybe we'll do, depending how this episode goes, maybe we'll do a lot more of these. But lovely to hear from you, and I will speak to you next week.